Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, a.k.a. Mazuma TV. Back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope you had a great day overall, man. Back at y'all with some more boxing talk. I'm checking in with y'all because I wanted to speak about the fights, all the big fights that's going to be going on this weekend alone, man. We're going to be talking about Pacquiao versus Barrios, Fundora versus Tszyu 2, Daniel Dubois versus Alexander Usyk 2, and Bam Rodriguez versus The Truth, Cafu. Then, of course, after those conversations, we'll get into some open boxing topics. You see what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's in the building so far. If y'all could go ahead and hit that like button on the way in, that'd be very much appreciated. You see what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's in the building so far. I'm already seeing the comments. Shout out to the boy Coffee Plant in the building. What up? Chris Maldonado, what up, brother? Silks Bando in the building. He said this weekend filled with good fights. That's a fact. That's a fact. It's going to be a big weekend of boxing, man. We definitely going to talk about it. Baboon Balloon, what up? What's going on with y'all? Hope everybody's having a beautiful one. Why no notifications, Mark? You already know what type time YouTube be on, bro. And I made the announcement well over an hour ago, so I can't even tell you why. But as soon as I came on the stream and I seen there weren't any comments like there usually was, I already had an idea that notifications didn't get sent out. But, I mean, that's how YouTube be doing y'all boys sometimes, man. I'll do videos without a single curse word in it, no crazy titles or thumbnails, and they'll demonetize it before they even review it. They'll just demonetize it. Then I got to submit them to review it manually. You know what I'm saying? And then they'll monetize it by the time. But by the time they monetize it, people done watching it. We on to the next subject. But, you know what I mean? That's how YouTube be doing y'all boy. You feel me? Go 787, what up? Leroy Smith Jr., what up? What's going on? What's going on? We got a few people in here. We're about to cook. You know what I mean? We got some fights that we need to speak on. He said Twitch soon. I wish I was able to take all my subscribers from YouTube and, you know, transfer them to Twitch. You feel what I mean? Because I definitely would have been on there by now. You feel me? Go 787 said, yo, bro, call me crazy, but I counted how many times Pacquiao hugged Matias. It was 93 times and 32 headbutts. God damn. How can people say robbery? I don't understand how people could say robbery. You know what I mean? I've remained strong on my stance, firm on my stance, and believing that, you know what I mean, it was a close competitive fight. You know what I mean? Pacquiao was definitely pulling out those later rounds and stuff like that. So, you know, it could be seen as a draw or 7-5 either way. You know what I mean? There was some rounds that was pretty close that you could make a strong argument for either one of them winning. So when it really comes down to that, you know what I mean, you can't go wrong with whoever the winner is or even going with a draw. You feel what I mean? It was that competitive, in my opinion. Anybody that's calling it a robbery, you know what I mean, that's just dumb, you know, initially rooting for a fighter to win. The fighter didn't get the decision, and they feel a way about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if Matias came up short in that one, I would have said the same thing. Could have went either way. You feel what I'm saying? So, but 32 headbutts, that's crazy. I ain't never heard of that many headbutts in a fight. Yeah, transitioning is difficult. That's why a lot of people don't leave YouTube in the first place. You know what I mean? They don't really figure out YouTube be on some BS until, you know what I mean, they got a few thousand subscribers and stuff like that. And, you know what I mean, rebuilding is a very, very difficult process. A very time-consuming, to be honest with you. Bad Boom Balloon says Shakur Stevenson and Derek Lewis from UFC were the MVPs of my parlays. Yeah, I seen that. Derek Lewis, I think he just extended his KO record in the UFC, man. Shout out to Derek Lewis. Dangerous fighter. Gamble responsibly. Oh, yeah, for sure. Anonymous said I had to score to draw personally. Hey, man, I can't be mad at that, brother. That just lets you know how competitive it was. That was a hell of a fight. That was a fight I told y'all was most likely going to steal the show. Now, I do think that fight is overshadowed slightly by Shakur Stevens' performance against Cepeda. But because, you know, Shakur Stevens is a bigger name than both of the guys, Puello and Matias. So of course, if he had like a good performance, people are gonna talk about that, you know. But that was definitely one of the fights of the night, in my opinion. Just very, very competitive fight. You know what I mean? I would have liked to have seen the immediate rematch between the two, but you know what I mean? It seemed like Turkey Al-Sheikh and them got different plans. You feel me? It seemed like they really want to give Dalton Smith an opportunity. So we'll see. Hopefully, we get to see that rematch. Because I think Matias. I watched Dalton Smith a little bit. I think Matias will pack him up. You know what I mean? God's dog or some shit like that. Salute. He says, pack and won the 7 rounds. Barrios if ended till 12 rounds. I don't really understand that. I think I know what you're saying, but I don't really understand what you're talking about. Ghost 787 says Shakur was amazing. I watched that fight 3 times. The skill level Shakur showed was chef's kiss. It was definitely a sensational performance, man. It just let me know that Shakur is just as dangerous offensively than he is defensively, in my opinion. I do think that his defense gets talked about the most. But when you have that type of accuracy, bro, that's very, very impressive. 56, what they said, 52% of total punches landed, total punches. Then they said 56% of power punches landed. Bro, like that's phenomenal. And listen, like Cepeda ain't the most defensively responsible person, but to hit a motherfucker that many times and landed that high of a percentage. And they said that Cepeda missed over 700 of his punches. Bro, like that's fucking phenomenal. Phenomenal. So if you're gonna give Shakur defense credit for his defense, I can't be mad at you because, in my opinion, he's a defensive genius. Look, man, there's motherfuckers who only got one line of defense. There's not many fighters that you know that have multiple sources of defense. You see what I'm saying? There's the people that could stand in front of you and make you miss. But if you start to pick them off, you know what I mean, in the pocket or whatever the case is, then they're going to be assed out because their legs ain't that good. You know what I'm saying? Then you got the ones who, they main source of defense is their legs. You feel what I mean? And then once you take that fighter legs away, he vulnerable to an ass whooping. You know what I mean? Like there's people that have defense, but they only have one chamber to their defense. This dude, Shakur Stevenson, got multiple chambers in defense alone. I didn't know that he could do that Philly shell shit where he catching, boom, boom. Like, and he just looked so comfortable doing it. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, bro, this kid Shakur is a fucking like monster. Like, I don't know who at 35 will beat that man. Like, it's gonna have to and I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Tank would only beat him if he's sparking. Like, I just don't see, now that I'm really looking at this shit and see what Shakur is capable of doing. If Tank don't spark Shakur, he will not beat him. He won't. And I think Shakur knows that. And I think that's exactly why Tank ain't really too worried about fighting Shakur right now. Trying to tell you, bro. Tank like to lose them early rounds. You can't afford to lose them early rounds to Shakur. You feel what I'm saying? He like to load up and throw these big punches, and Shakur not going to be there for those big punches. Like this is a real thing. My fault. I got a text message from my mother. He said, "Where's Slime? Did Slime change his mind after watching Core?" I don't know. Where Slime at. Somebody hit slime in the group chat. Yeah, and like we seen, I don't know, man. Like, I really think if Tank don't knock him out and they just go IQ for IQ, I don't know. I don't know if Tank got the bag of tricks that Shakur got. I'm telling you. And I think that's what makes Shakur so confident. Like, yeah, he could punch and all that. But is he smart like me? Does he understand boxing like me? His IQ on my level. I think he understands that Tank has skills and he got punching power, explosiveness, speed. He's well-rounded. But I think Shakur a little bit more polished than Tank. Tank uses his legs for defense. That's a fact. He uses his legs for defense. He could slip shots too and shit like that, but you know, Tank gets hit in the pocket as well. He could slip shots in the pocket and sneak in little body shots, or hit you with a good counter like he did Leo Santa Cruz. You know what I'm saying? But Tank is liable to get hit in the pocket too. Like we seen it with the Lamont Roach fight. And even before Leo Santa Cruz got sparked, he hit Tank with like 3 right hands prior to that. So, But anyways, I don't really want to talk too much about that. Did you guys happen to see that Andre Ward interview with Manny Pacquiao? Man, shout out to Andre Ward, man. This dude is doing phenomenal in terms of doing interviews with these relevant fighters in the sport of boxing right now. I didn't even know that he had cooked something up with Manny Pacquiao, but I'm glad that he did, because it really goes to show you where Manny Pacquiao, like how far he done came, bro. This dude was fighting. He didn't even know what boxing was. Manny Pacquiao didn't even know what boxing was, and they used to make him fight for rice. For rice, bro. You know what I'm saying? And he would win $1 to $2 every time. And, he didn't even understand what boxing was. They said that he couldn't throw kicks, just punches only. And, you know what I mean? They would give him $1 to $2, and that was enough to feed him and his family. And that's how he, got himself into the sport and stuff like that. Like, bro, do you know how deep in the trenches you got to be in to fight for $2, bro? Because in the Philippines, I think he said that like $2 is like a couple hundred in their currency or whatever the case is. And at the time, it was enough for for him to feed his whole family. And that's how he took care of him and his, by literally fighting at his young age. That's how he was fighting. Fighting for rice, bro. Like crazy. So his story is pretty inspirational, bro. I ain't even gonna lie to you. There's not many people who got a story like Manny Pacquiao. Of course, you got the people who came up in impoverished neighborhoods, but when you like in a country that's as poor as the Philippines, and it's a lot different. I think if we were to grow up in those circumstances that Manny Pacquiao grew up in, I think we'll say we've been pretty blessed to live in the United States. You feel what I'm saying? He said killed a dog to feed his family is crazy. I heard his father did that. But yeah, bro, like that's the type of story that he come from. But regardless of Manny Pacquiao's story, man, he's 46 years old, bro. And I hate to keep bringing this up, but I'm only bringing it up because they fighting soon. You feel what I'm saying? They fighting soon, and I just wanted to give my whole opinion on what I believe is going to happen during the fight. You feel what I mean? And Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios is going down. Hold on real quick. It's going down July 19th, from what I understand. So, yeah, that's this weekend. Shit. I don't know why I'm still stuck on the 12th. It's going down this weekend, July 19th. You know what I mean? Manny Pacquiao's coming off of a 4-year layoff and a loss to Dennis Ugas to face, Mario Barrios, who is currently the WBC welterweight champion of the world. Didn't have his best performance. Actually looked pretty bad against Abel Ramos. In my personal opinion, I think that Manny Pacquiao came back into the game, for whatever reasons. Something leads me to believe that it may be financial issues or whatever. Because I think if you truly love the sport, you truly wanted to continue boxing, I don't know if you would have took 4 years away from it. I think there's a reason why Manny Pacquiao was coming back. I have my suspicions, but regardless, I think that he's seen the performance that Mario Barrios had against Abel Ramos and felt like that was his opportunity to jump on a fight and possibly, get a little purse, get a nice little check or whatever the case is, and actually, win a world title. He literally said Manny called him right after the fight. Well, that lets you know that he was watching. That lets you know he was watching. That lets you know he was plotting. And, why he didn't call Jaron Ennis's phone. Why didn't he call, Terrence Crawford's phone when he was champion at the time? Manny Pacquiao is at an age right now where he can't really afford to be up against anybody that's looked at as, too dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Like, Manny Pacquiao isn't dumb. So I think that he looked at Mario Barrios the way that we all look at Mario Barrios. And that's the weakest link at 147 pounds when we're talking about the champions. From what I understand, Jaron Ennis still has those belts from what I understand, the IBF, the WBA, the Ring Magazine. Brian Norman has the WBO. What's the other belt? Oh, yeah, and the WBC, Mario Barrios. So, when we're looking at Brian Norman, Mario Barrios, and Boots, which one looks like the easier fade? Let's just be honest. And a lot of people have been looking at Mario Barrios' food. Coffee Plant just mentioned the name. Conor Benn been looking at that Mario Barrios fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody know what time it is with Mario Barrios at this point in time. The fact that they see Abel Ramos possibly almost get the W against, like, Abel Ramos was about to be the new WBC champion in the welterweight division. Yeah, motherfuckers is licking their chops. Manny Pacquiao was one of them. He sees that Mario Barrios starts off strong, but then he fades in the mid to late rounds. Manny Pacquiao sees that Mario Barrios has a lot of holes in his defense and can be hurt and dropped and stuff like that. And he's been stopped on multiple occasions in smaller divisions against, smaller guys, a.k.a. Gervonta Davis. So Manny Pacquiao feels like he could do the same thing to Mario Barrios. That's just the reality of the situation. But this is where I think this is going to be a miscalculation on Manny Pacquiao's part, man. What made Manny Pacquiao dangerous, in all honesty, was the in and out movement. His unpredictability and when he was going to strike. And when he was going to strike, we didn't really know what he was going to how many punches he was going to throw, what he was going to lead with. You know what I'm saying? Manny Pacquiao was really hard to time. And it took Juan Manuel Marquez 4 fights to finally get that timing on Manny Pacquiao to put his lights out. So that just lets you know how complicated it is to, fight a Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao turned the clock back a little bit and beat up on a way younger Keith Thurman. You know what I'm saying? Who still, his only loss in his career has been to Manny Pacquiao. He beat up on a younger Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner couldn't figure him out. Keith Thurman made it, more competitive towards the end. But, he had trouble figuring out Manny Pacquiao, especially early in the fight. But, since, those Broner fights and Thurman fights and stuff like that, Manny Pacquiao legs have been completely shot. Completely shot. When I'm watching this Yordenis Ugas fight, he don't have the same bounce in his legs that he used to. That athleticism was going down the drain before our very eyes, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard for me to believe that you showing signs of being a shot fighter 4 years ago and you coming back, in 2025 trying to say that, you still feel good, you still feel young. And like that's really hard for me to believe. If you really want me to believe that your legs have come back after looking completely shot in the Yordenis Ugas fight, when you are, in your mid to late 40s, you must think I'm a fool if you think I'm gonna believe that. You know what I mean? I just seen this exhibition that you had. You look like complete dog shit. No disrespect to Manny Pacquiao. You were all-time great. You a legend, but you know the facts are the facts. I would say this about anybody if I felt like they were a shot fighter. Manny Pacquiao legs are not underneath him anymore. They're not underneath him anymore. You see what I'm saying? So it's hard for me to believe that, you know, when he goes into this Mario Barrios fight, that his legs are just going to be on 1,000. His in and out movement is just going to be phenomenal. He's just going to be lighting up Barrios with combinations. No, that's not how I see that. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if Barrios stops Manny Pacquiao. I said it. I would not be surprised if Mario Barrios stops Manny Pacquiao. I would not be surprised if Manny Pacquiao hits the canvas against Mario Barrios, because one thing, we have a lot of negative criticisms about Mario Barrios, right? He fades, you know what I mean? He falls. His defense is trash. His footwork is trash. Yeah. But one thing that I'm going to say about Mario Barrios is he's really nice offensively. Really nice offensively. When he punches in combinations, is a beautiful thing. He has punching power. He definitely got some explosiveness. The acceleration that he has behind his punches, he could be very dangerous for somebody like Manny Pacquiao. He goes to the body good. Pause. You know, he mixes up his offense really well, and he got a really good jab. Has a really good jab, and I think that just goes all wrong for a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao. You know, Manny Pacquiao. You know what I mean? If this was the Manny Pacquiao that fought Thurman or fought Broner or Floyd Mayweather, you know, those guys right there, I would actually favor Manny Pacquiao, but that's not the Manny Pacquiao that we see anymore. You know what I'm saying? George says, is there still a path to victory for Pac-Man, or is there zero chance for him to make something happen? Well, I'm not going to say zero chance, because this is boxing. Anything can happen. You know what I mean? But I feel like Manny Pacquiao's best chances in beating Mario Barrios would be him using his athleticism like he always does, using his in and out movement, and throwing off people timing when he explodes off of combinations, you know, on the offense. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, I don't think the athleticism is there for Manny Pacquiao anymore. And I feel like that's his bread and butter. I think that's what made him him. I think that's what made him dangerous. That's what got him his knockouts. That's what got him, you know, his victories. You know, if that's not behind him, I don't know what Manny Pacquiao could resort to beat Mario Barrios. It's not like Pacquiao was like this fundamentally sound boxer who, you know, had skills, and, you know, when the athleticism ran out, he could just fall back on his fundamentals like Bernard Hopkins and shit like that. No, he's not that type of fighter. He's not. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not going to say it's impossible for him to beat Mario Barrios, but at the same time, I think it's going to be very hard for him to beat Mario Barrios in the current state that he's in. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't be surprised if Mario dominates Manny Pacquiao. You know, punish Manny Pacquiao. They stop it in the corner, or he hits the canvas. Like I could really see Manny Pacquiao going out like that. Just my personal opinion. And when Mario Barrios stops him, everybody gonna be bigging up Mario Barrios like he this fucking, you know, this absolute animal. And then there's gonna be people that's gonna be shitting on Mario Barrios too. Oh man, you beat up on a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao. Y'all was the ones who was bigging the fight up. Y'all was the ones who was claiming Pacquiao was gonna beat Barrios. But now that Barrios defended himself and fucked Pacquiao up, now everybody gonna be mad at Barrios. It's gonna be the same shit with William Joppy and Roberto Duran. The same shit. When William Joppy was punching on Roberto Duran and he was celebrating like he just beat, you know, a prime Roberto Duran, you know, everybody hated him for that. But y'all was saying, but I'm sure there was critics back in the day that felt like Roberto Duran was going to beat William Joppy. So he takes the opportunity because he got a career that he's trying to, you know, thrive in. And y'all get mad at him for doing his job. I'm not gonna be mad at him for doing his job. Y'all need to be mad at Manny Pacquiao for staying in the game too long. You know what I'm saying? Like, this the thing, bro. And this is a tradition in boxing. A lot of these old niggas, they don't know when to hang it up. They don't know when to get off the block. You feel me? They feel like they could just. You ever see them? I don't know if anybody been from the hood, but y'all ever see them niggas that, you know what I mean, was like in the streets when y'all was young boys and shit, and then you a grown ass man, and they still out there. You know what I mean? Still trying to be these street dudes. Like, they be in their 50s, still trying to be street dudes. It's going to get to a point where them young dudes with all that energy and testosterone going to be coming around looking to take your ass up off of that block. You feel what I'm saying? Manny Pacquiao in that situation right now. Manny Pacquiao feel like he still got it. He feel like these young niggas can't do nothing with him until a young nigga pack him the fuck up and get him up out of here. You see what I'm saying? And this ain't gonna be the first. This ain't the first time that a legend get packed up and forced to retire from boxing. This ain't gonna be the last time. There's fighters that we looking at as legends right now that may stick around in the game too long. It might get taught a lesson by one of these young dudes. You see what I'm saying? Like look what happened with motherfucking Bernard Hopkins. You know what I mean? He was, making history for being this old dude and winning world titles, but you stood around too long. You faced Sergey Kovalev and you lost. You got dominated, beat up. Then you take a layoff. Then you want to jump back in the ring with Joe Smith Jr. Joe Smith Jr. knocked your ass out the ring. You feel me? Anderson Silva, that's another one. He was dominating. He got clipped by Chris Weidman. Then he tried to run it back with Chris Weidman, and then like Zab Judah. Zab Judah was staying in the game too long. He was washed for years. Then he gonna go fight Cletus Selden, and ended up having an emergency brain surgery because of the beating that he took. Muhammad Ali stood in the game too long. He had his reasons why, but he stood in the game too long, and I think that aggravated his, health issues even further, staying in the game too long. It's a lot of them. Roy Jones getting knocked out by like Enzo Macronelli. Like, them dudes didn't deserve to put a beating on Roy Jones, but Roy Jones didn't know when to chill. Mike Tyson, look what he just did. He just sold his record to Jake Paul for a check. He just got added to Jake Paul resume for a check. Yeah, Chavez and De La Hoya, yup. Sugar Ray Leonard with Hector Camacho. Shit happen all the time. This is pretty common, actually. A lot of these old dudes, they fall in love with being him. They fall in love with being him. And I think the hardest thing about them walking away is knowing that, first of all, they won't never get like an adrenaline rush like that again. And a lot of these boxers, they're adrenaline junkies, to be honest with you. And I think they miss that love that they get when they was the man. So they'll do whatever they can to try to keep that feeling alive. That's just me. You feel me? And it ends up getting them hurt, man. It's crazy what motherfuckers will do. Like, I remember when the rapper Fabulous said, money ain't the root of all evil now, what tension is. Only thing I want to mention is money ain't the root of all evil now, what tension is. I feel like a lot of these fighters, they love that attention what comes with being a world champion. They love that feeling of walking out to the ring and people chanting their name and, being in the ring and getting a big knockout and winning the fight and, being publicized all over the, big media outlets and platforms. And, I think they love that shit. They love what the attention and the validation they receive from the game. I think it's hard for them to walk away from it. You feel me? And I think Manny Pacquiao this weekend, unfortunately, although I was never the biggest Pacquiao fan, but I do respect him as an all-time great. I do respect him as a legend. Unfortunately, we might see this man get packed up. You know what I mean? Silks Bando said, Bam says he wants to retire young. See, that's another thing that I remember Roy Jones was saying that. Like he didn't want to be in boxing too long. You know what I mean? And a lot of people say that, and then they actually end up staying in the game longer than they were supposed to. Now Bam could be serious. It don't seem like he really liked the spotlight too much. And I think his brother retired young, from what I understand. So maybe he's just following in his brother's footsteps. That's what he wants to do, and that's his right to do so. It's his career. There's some fighters who actually retire young and walked away from the game, like Andre Ward. He walked away when he was 33. Campbell Hatton, Ricky Hatton's son retired after back-to-back losses in his career. Some people retire young. Ben Rodriguez trainer, Robert Garcia, he retired young, from what I understand. Yeah, he retired when he was 26. He retired from boxing at 26. He only competed for 9 years. So there's some people that, that's what they do. Yeah, that's correct. He was born in 75. He retired in 2001. That's 26. He retired at 26 years old. I believe Ben. I believe it because he don't come across as somebody that like really crave the attention, and he seemed like. And I watched his little series that he got on the Zone and shit. Like, bro, he lived like a little low key life. You know what I mean? He got his little family. You know what I mean? He got a nice little crib. He be chilling at the coffee shop, like like Bam he be in his own little zone. You feel me? That's just the type time he be on. So, I mean, if he wants to retire young, he can, and he's done a lot. He's done a lot. So, well, he's done a lot for his age. Yeah. He be in the motherfucking coffee shop, bro. He talking about he want to open his own coffee shop and stuff like that. So, yeah, man. Yeah, Bam was cool. Like he was real quiet. He was to himself. You know what I mean? He spoke when spoken to. Like he was chilling. He was chilling. Yeah, his trainer, I mean, his own trainer, Robert Garcia, retired when he was 26. Some people do that, man. They get what they need and then they walk away. Speaking of Bam, where do I want to see Shakur in 5 years? How old is Shakur? I think he older than me. So if we saying 5 years, he's 28. So yeah, he was born like a little less than a year before me. He'll be 33. He'll be 33 in 5 years. I mean, hopefully, um, he unifies the 135-pound division. In 5 years, I would like to see him at 140, get some competitive fights up there. I don't think Shakur will really go to 47. He might go to 47 if it makes sense, or a fight that he feels like he could comfortably win, or ain't as risky. I would like to see Shakur Stevenson unify 135, get that Gervonta Davis fight if available, and get some shit popping at 140 before he walk away. And if that's the case, Shakur will have titles at 26, 30, 35, and 40. A 4-division world champion ain't bad. That'll put him in some great company. But if he could get 47, now you're talking 5 division. You talking about same amount of divisions Floyd conquered and got titles in. You feel me? So, I mean, If he could go to 47, cool. I don't think Shakur is gonna really grow too much from now. Like he's 28. He is at the peak of his, prime, I guess you would say. So yeah, hopefully unification, 35. You know what I mean? Get some shit popping at 140, maybe 40, maybe 47. I think his skills can have him do some things at 47, and ride off into the sunset. Because once you hit like 34, 35, shit start going a little downhill. But considering the fact that Shakur has always maintained great defense, he might last longer than that. Floyd done told y'all, the less you get hit, the longer you last in the sport. B-Hop showed you that. Floyd showed you that. You know what I mean? So that's just what it is. Matias said he'll retire at 32. Did he really? I don't even remember that. I'm not saying you lying, but I don't remember that. But if that's the case, how many times and I'm gonna ask you this, Ghost, how many times you said you was gonna do something and the shit ain't turn out how you thought it was? That's been like the theme of my life. I'll say, yo, I'm gonna do this at this time, and it rarely ever works out that way. Not because I fucked up the goal or anything like that, but like I was sleeping on my goals or I wasn't prepared properly. No, it just life take you into different directions. God put something else in front of you to take care of first, or you know what I mean? He gives you an even better opportunity, so you go that direction. Things don't always turn out. Was B-Hop defense good? Absolutely. 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 You need to go watch Bernard. My brother, he was a very, very crafty fighter. Go 787 says, a lot of times you can plan whatever you want, but life changes daily. That's a fact. So I ain't gonna shit on the nigga or call him a liar. Maybe that was plans that he actually had, but life presented different things once he got to that, milestone. You feel me? Like, nah, I'm not gonna shit on you for that. Watch Hopkins versus Tarver. You see his defense in full showcase. You can watch the Hopkins Trinidad one too. Motherfucker was not getting hit by that hook. I'll tell you that. He didn't get knocked out by Joe Calzaghe. That's a lie. He didn't get knocked. Did he get knocked out by? Am I missing something? I must be missing something, brother. It was actually a split decision. It was actually a split, brother. So that sounded like that was a close competitive fight. And Bernard was 43 when he fought Joe Calzaghe. Hopkins versus Pavlik was he draw. And I don't even know why people be having this discussion with me when we talk about greatest fighters from Philadelphia. Bro, B-Hop is the greatest fighter to ever come out of Philadelphia. The greatest. Like, it's not even close. Like, motherfuckers keep mentioning Joe Frazier. Like, yo, Joe Frazier definitely one of them. He definitely one of them. But he's not number one. He's not. Not better than Danny. Nigga, you crazy. You crazy as hell, Coffee. Danny got some good wins. He got a solid resume, but his resume ain't stacking up to B-Hop. He ain't have title defenses like B-Hop. He didn't dominate a division like B-Hop. Oh, you say you trolling? Yeah, shit. Stop playing. Danny one of them too. Danny one of the greatest fighters to come out of Philly. No doubt. But Bernard Hopkins, greatest fighter to come out of Philly, bro. He should have that statue at the Art Museum. Not no fucking bum-ass Rocky Balboa. Sad B-Hop still don't got a statue. Joe Frazier got one, I think, at Xfinity Live. Rocky Balboa got one at the art museum, and I get it, tourists and all that shit. Philly, Rocky was a big movie out of Philly. I get it, but B-Hop, he need a statue. He need one. You feel me? They should do that. Yeah, Joe Smith Jr. You feel me? But anyways, speaking of Ben Rodriguez, man, I really took the time to watch the Truth Cafu. You know what I'm saying? I took the time to actually watch him because I never seen a fight before. And I seen the fight where he had actually gotten an upset win out in Japan. I forgot his name. His name was I watched a few different Jones, but he went over to Japan and he shocked Tanaka. He beat Tanaka or whatever the case was, knocked Tanaka down. He ended up winning on the scorecards and shit like that. And when I'm really assessing Cafu, man, and this ain't no disrespect to Cafu whatsoever. I see some punching power. You know what I'm saying? He liked to play the counter punch and roll a lot. But I don't think he got what it take to, beat Ben Rodriguez. I see that he coming across real confident, that he gonna get the upset. And to be honest with you, that's what he's supposed to say. That's what he's supposed to say. You feel what I mean? So I ain't really tripping off of that. But I'm watching this dude fight, and he doing a lot of countering. Like he'll let Tanaka get some shit off, and then he'll try to throw some shit in between, and it worked for him in that fight. You see what I mean? But he doesn't counter in combinations. This dude he'll see somebody shoot something, whoa, 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 or he'll go whoa, whoa. Like it's just one, like single counters. You know what I mean? And he got some speed. You can tell he got some, got some crack or whatever. He look like he got a little bit of punching power. But he likes to sit. He don't mind sitting in the pocket with you or trading either. So he like to be in the fire and get active. You feel what I'm saying? But besides that, to be honest with you, I look at him as like a basic fighter, bro. Ben Rodriguez, I look at him as somebody who, is extremely special. You feel what I mean? I think Cafu is going to be going up against a lot with Ben Rodriguez. You dealing with a southpaw that has one of the best jabs in the sport of boxing, to be honest with you. Now we talking about, Ben's ability to go to the body. He got some sharp, accurate shots to the body. Got some respectable pop on his punches as well. And then we get into what makes Bam dangerous, and that's his creativity off of the angles. You see what I'm saying? Cafu doesn't look like he had the fastest feet neither to keep up with Bam's angles. So I think this shit honestly spells trouble for Cafu, to be honest with you. Cafu is dangerous, so Bam had like this tendency to get a little bit reckless. I think that's what got him dropped against Gallo Estrada. But I think that, if he stays defensively responsible, stay behind his jab and, just be himself with the angles. And he has great timing as well. So I think that if he's himself, he stays responsible defensively, I think he can honestly stop Cafu, to be honest with you. I think he could, but not like right away. I don't see him stopping Cafu like in dramatic style. It looks like Cafu, a little bit. He looked like a tough, durable dude. So I think he could systematically break him down and then get him up out of there within 7 to 8, to be honest with you. That's what I see. And I watched I didn't just watch one highlight clip or whatever the case is. I watched a few different ones, and then I was able to assess what type of fighter he was from there. Then I did a little bit of visualization, like if Ben Rodriguez was the one in front of him, what Bam could take advantage of. And bro, I ain't gonna lie. A lot of this shit, I think a lot of this shit gonna be easy pickings for Bam. It's gonna be easy pickings for Bam. And to be honest with you, Tanaka was giving him work. It looked like Tanaka even had him hurt at one point in time too. Bam just got to be careful because Cafu likes to throw punches in between shots. You know what I mean? Those type of guys are always dangerous. But they can hit you with some shit you won't see. You know what I mean? It looked like it was a close competitive fight with Tanaka. Silks Bando said, isn't Turkey playing for Bam to face Nakatani or Inoue? I think Turkey's plan is for Nakatani and Inoue to fight each other. I don't know if Bam is a part of that equation as of right now. I don't know that. But maybe that is Turkey's plans. But I think Turkey more than anything wants to see Inoue and Nakatani fight each other. And they should. You know, I don't think Bam should be associated with them names right now. You know, I see that Junto's looking to move up to 22 sometime soon. Inoue says he's not going to rush himself to go to 26. So, you know, I'm imagining they're going to be at 122 at the same time. So if that's the case, why not work on that fight? Japan versus Japan. Let's get this shit popping. You know what I mean? Make that shit happen at the Tokyo Dome. That shit will go crazy. That's not a fight I want to see in Riyadh. I don't want to see that anywhere else but Japan. And I would get up at whatever fucking time needs to be, whatever time it is in the U.S. to watch that fight. I'll definitely put some shit aside. That's the type of job I might call out of work for. You heard? So that's just my opinion. It don't make any more sense. Like Fury and Joshua. That needs to happen in the UK. Bro said I'll stay up till 4 a.m. for that fight. I won't stay up till 4 a.m., but I'll sleep until 4 a.m. to watch the fight. I'm gonna say that. What fight? We talking about Junto and Inoue. Yeah, I mean, what fight we didn't talk about yet? Oh, we spoke about Pacquiao, Barrios. Spoke about Bam, Cafu. We only got 10 people in the building. I know them notifications didn't get sent out. That's a low. That's a low, bro. But it is what it is. Maybe, you know, people not interested in these topics. It is what it is. We're not talking about Tank or Devin or, you know, it is what it is. Fundora, Tszyu. All right, go 7. I'll holler at you. Fundora, Tszyu 2. That's actually a fight I'm looking forward to be honest with you, man. I want to see. And the reason why I'm so interested for that fight was because, for one, it was an entertaining fight the first time around, right? Cool. Tszyu had his, you know, mishaps after the fight, you know, with that Bakram or the Zaliev fight and shit like that. But since then, he was able to stop Joey Spencer. In my honest opinion, that was easy work. Joey Spencer ain't have no business being in the ring with no fucking Tszyu. But regardless, he got back in the winning column. He looked like he was supposed to face Keith Thurman, but a better opportunity presented itself with a Sebastian Fundora rematch. Cool. What I'm going to be intrigued in is Tszyu's mentality going into the fight, because I ain't going to lie to y'all. He went through a bit of a traumatic situation in the first Sebastian Fundora fight with the cut. You know what I mean? And it's really making me wonder if Tszyu is going to have any type of doubts about, you know, stepping inside against Sebastian Fundora, because when he made that move to step on the inside, that's pretty much when he ran into that elbow. And, you know, things went downhill shortly after that elbow had connected on his scalp. You feel what I mean? So I think it's going to be pretty intriguing to see how Tszyu approaches this fight. Is he going to be worried about the elbow? Is he going to be, you know, trying to box a little bit more at range so he doesn't run into that elbow? You know, we're really going to see where Tszyu's psyche is at, because, you know, based off of how the way he moves in this fight is going to let the boxer fans know as to whether he's gotten over that traumatic event or not. Is that something that still traumatizes him, or was he able to move past that situation and gain confidence within himself and, that scalp injury? You know, is he confident that scalp injury is fully healed? Do he still feel like that scalp injury is tender? Does he feel like it's still susceptible to, opening up again? You know, we're going to have to really see where Tszyu's confidence is at and what his approach is going to be. I thought he had a lot of success up until, the injury had occurred. I think that the injury didn't occur. I feel like Tszyu probably would have stopped Sebastian Fundora. He was landing a lot of clean shots. He was having a lot of success, getting through whatever defense Sebastian Fundora has. You feel what I mean? And I think that, the heavy bleeding really got to him physically and mentally, and I think it really fucked with his vision as well. So I think it really hindered his performance. I think going into this fight with Tszyu, I'm going to be under the impression that this is something that he's been waiting on for a long time. I think he's going to be well prepared mentally. I think Sebastian Fundora, he's always going to give a fighter like Tszyu a tough fight, but I think Tszyu really prevails in this one. I think that Tszyu, lands clean shots on Sebastian Fundora. I think that there are going to be a lot of exchanges that both of these guys are going to have. I think Tszyu is going to get the better of those exchanges. And I think, I might believe, I really think Tszyu might be able to get the W. I think he might be able to stop Sebastian Fundora. Let's not act like Sebastian Fundora chin can't get cracked. You feel what I mean? We saw what Brian Mendoza did to him. We seen him hurt. We seen Erickson Lubin drop him. So who's to say that Tszyu isn't able to, do that to Sebastian Fundora as well? I know that he can accumulate a lot of damage. We seen what was going on at the beginning of that first fight. So I think that, this second fight around, I feel like Tszyu is gonna put on a great performance. I think he sees past. I think he sees past that traumatic event that he had in the first fight, and comes out strong in this one. And I got Sebastian Fundora defeating Sebastian Fundora. Tszyu defeating Sebastian Fundora in the rematch. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't be surprised if a trilogy comes as a result of that, because technically they'll be 1-1 if Tszyu pulls off the victory. And the next one, Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois. Man, I've seen a lot of promotion that these guys had going on. Daniel Dubois screaming at Alexander Usyk's face, and the new. I'm gonna say this, and I ain't no body language expert, and I don't know what's going on in these fighters' head, and I'm not gonna pretend that I know neither. But based off of what I'm seeing from Daniel Dubois seems pretty fucking confident going into this fight against Alexander Usyk. Now, I could have my, thoughts as to why he's coming across very confident, because, since he's lost to Alexander Usyk, his career has made a complete 180. You see what I'm saying? I think his career has made a complete 180. He was able to get some great wins, Philip Herkovich, Gerald Miller, you know what I mean? That he was able to beat somebody that Alexander beat as well, and Anthony Joshua. And since then, he's been really, I think, confident in his abilities. I think that he thinks that, he knows he could hurt Alexander Usyk. I'm sure he feels like that body shot that he landed on Usyk was legal, and Usyk pretty much got away with a fast one in that situation. So I think that he really believes that he's going to go out here and do some damage to Alexander Usyk. Now, Alexander Usyk is my pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world right now, man. Just how the way he's been able to come from cruiserweight, be undisputed in that division, and then go up to heavyweight and become undisputed at heavyweight against some solid competition, man. You talking about defeating Tyson Fury twice, which is not easy. You know what I mean? With the obstacles he had to overcome with fighting a 300-pound, 6'9" heavyweight. You know what I mean? That could box. It has legitimate skill. Then we talking about Anthony Joshua, who, doesn't really have the best skills whatsoever, but, has one-punch knockout power, experience, because like I said, Anthony Joshua done pretty much fought everybody except like Fury and Wilder. You know what I'm saying? And beat some quality opposition that were able to redeem themselves after losing to Anthony Joshua, like Joseph Parker. So, Alexander Usyk has those wins under his belt, and it's really hard to go against him at this point in time. You know what I mean? I see that Alexander Usyk is planning on retiring sometime soon within the next 1 to 2 fights. So maybe, there could be some thoughts of like Usyk not really Usyk maybe having like one foot out of the door type situation, and he may not, be as enthused with the sport as he was at one point in time. I don't really believe that. I think that Alexander Usyk is a real competitor. I don't think he wants to lose to anybody, regardless of whether he's leaving the game soon or not. I think he's going to be well prepared. I think he knows what it takes to defeat Daniel Dubois. He stopped him on one occasion before, and he knows that Daniel Dubois got some bitch in him. You know what I'm saying? Like I know that he's got some great wins since the Usyk loss and the Joe Joyce loss, but in both of those losses that he had took, he's shown some vulnerability. He's really shown me that when things get tough in there, he's not really willing to stick around too long. You know what I'm saying? He even showed it a little bit in that Gerald Miller fight. I think what really saved him was him being in, good shape. I think his second win saved him, because if Gerald Miller wasn't in shape, he might have quit in that fight as well, to be honest with you. I think that Daniel Dubois is dangerous. He could pack a punch, and definitely he could hurt Alexander Usyk. I think that's safe to say. Even if you're not rooting for Daniel Dubois, I think it's safe to say that Daniel Dubois is cracking, and if he cracks anybody with a good shot, he can get them up out of there. But at the same time, if Daniel Dubois gets pushed hard enough in that ring, if it gets too hot in that ring, he will look for a way out. So although I think that Daniel Dubois is going to be more dangerous in this rematch and more confident in this rematch, I think that Alexander Usyk has the tools necessary to, take away his best attributes, which is his power, make him miss, make him pay. And I think as that offense, as Alexander Usyk starts to become precise, and that damage starts to accumulate, I think that Daniel Dubois is going to start to have second thoughts, and wouldn't be surprised if Alexander Usyk stops Daniel Dubois again. You see what I'm saying? Like Daniel Dubois, in my opinion, he's always been that type dude that if you let him, he'll beat your ass. You see what I mean? But when you not really for the bullshit and you bully the bully, that's when he ready to cop out and all that good shit. You know what I'm saying? The Coffee Plant says Dubois can land some shit though. He definitely can. I mean, he has. I thought that body shot was clean on Usyk. When I first watched it, I was like, all right, that's straight a little low. Then I see a different camera angle, and it looked like he hit him right on the belt line. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't below the belt line. So as far as I'm concerned, if it's on the belt line, it's legal. So I was like, damn, Usyk definitely got away with a fast one in that situation. But I think Dubois understands that. I think that's partially what's giving him confidence besides the win streak he's on. I think he knows that he could hurt Usyk to the body. So I wouldn't be surprised if, he comes out throwing bombs to Usyk's body. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, Usyk is preparing to defend his body well. Hopefully he getting them good core workouts in, because his ability to take a body shot is definitely going to be tested this weekend. But I think Alexander Usyk defeats Daniel Dubois again in another stoppage victory in the later rounds, probably the 10th or the 11th. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I see the situation, man. Anybody got any questions before I get up out of here? Anybody got any questions before I get up out of here? And it's funny because I think I predicted like all knockouts and all the fights that I've spoken about today. And I won't be surprised if, all these fights end in a knockout. Anonymous says, I don't think he'll land, to be honest. A lot of people forget they fought outside in the rain in the first fight. His footwork and mobility will be better. That could definitely play a factor because, me personally, I've never fought outside, but I've had fighters that have fought outside, and they've always talked about how the weather, either hindered their performance or, hindered their performance or took away from their performance. You feel what I'm saying? They'd be like, oh, it was too hot outside, or, the canvas was slippery because, it was a little like, it was like, there was one event we was in where it was like wasn't raining, but it was like a nice little mist. Like, you know what I mean? Wasn't even really like drizzling. It was just like a mist, like a very, very light rain. But that light rain in itself was getting on the canvas of the ring. And, it was having an effect when fighters was trying to like use lateral movement and you know what I mean, just moving around the ring in general was giving them a tough time. Like fighters slipping on the canvas and all, and they was trying to wipe it down and stuff like that. But they was having a tough time, getting that together. You feel what I mean? And then I've also heard of fighters fighting outside when it was like blistering cold out there. You know what I'm saying? So weather could definitely fuck with people's performances. That's why like I've always been a fan of having motherfuckers fight indoors. Nah, Smoochie, I see your comments too. What you were saying? I see your comments. If you got a question, let me know. Thoughts on Bachman versus Lubin? Well, according to the rumors that I've heard, Bachman versus Lubin is being worked out for the early fall. If that's the case, that's a great fight. That's a great opportunity for Erickson Lubin. I like Erickson Lubin. Let's not get this misconstrued. But I do feel like he has some tendencies or like I'm gonna say character flaws. I guess you could call it character flaws that may work out in Bakram Murtazalia's favor. You know what I mean? If Erickson Lubin boxes and he uses his actual skills, he might be able to give Bakram some problems. But I feel like one of his biggest flaws is I think the kid got too much heart. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is the type of heart that may interfere with, his brain. He may put his heart over his intelligence. You feel what I mean? And I think that, and like I said, I think that he could have made the fight a lot more. I think he could have probably beat Sebastian Fundora in all honesty if he wasn't so willing to trade fire, willing to trade fire with him. I think if he would have took away them opportunities from Sebastian Fundora and actually attempted to box him, I think you had a better outcome and possibly even, get, beating. You see what I mean? But Erickson Lubin, man, and plus I'm gonna say this: Erickson Lubin's performances have been, inconsistent, man. Sometimes he looks like an absolute superstar, like he did against Jason Rosario at that one fight. That sometimes he looked, regular. Like that Ardell Holmes fight, I wasn't really impressed with that. He was able to beat him, but like it was underwhelming to be honest with you, man. Like, so Bakram Murtazaliev, that's a big threat. He's a big puncher. Not the fastest, but he's a big 154. You know what I mean? Arguably a middleweight, to be honest with you. So I like the fight. I think that Lubin can definitely present Bakram some problems, but I think the moment that he decides that he's gonna fight Bakram, I think that's when shit could really go left. You know what I'm saying? So I like the fight. You know what I mean? I think Lubin's deserving of the opportunity. He's been getting some good wins and shit like that. So, and I like how the way, he doesn't let a loss fuck with his head. You feel me? He could have easily let that Jermell Charlo situation fuck with him and, stun his confidence. How the way he took all that punishment against Sebastian Fundora, he could have let that get to his head and, question whether he wanted to continue in the sport. No, he's been resilient, man. Mentally, he's been resilient and still looking to achieve the ultimate goal and becoming a world champion. So, yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think. I like the fight. I'm gonna be rooting for Lubin for real, because I don't like how Bakram be popping all this shit like everybody's scared of him, and nigga only had one big fight. Nigga packed up Tim Tszyu. He played like he just like this motherfucker that can't be faded. He always talking shit on social media too. So I want to see somebody whoop his ass. We got any questions before I get up out of here, y'all? YouTube did me dirty with the notifications today, dog. Why is this gonna be people hitting me up tomorrow like, I ain't get your notifications, bro. I ain't know you went live last night, bro. Oh, I'm sorry. My comments wasn't refreshing. Ha! This nigga said, Mark, you might gotta check your DM. Berlanga giving out invites to the new parade. Man, he better not send me no motherfucking invite. How do I feel about Kasase? I think that's how you say his last name. Being replaced by Abraham Nova. I think I think Raymond Ford gonna fuck Abraham Nova up. I think he go whoop his ass. But that's a solid guy, I guess. Not the worst guy, not the best guy, but not the worst guy neither. Like it's a cool replacement. You know what I mean? Abraham Nova got some punching power. You know what I mean? He done been around the block. He done faced some solid dudes. You know what I mean? The first thought that keep popping in my head was when he got bodied by Robesi though. Hoo-wee. When Robesi fried motherfucking Abraham Nova, bro, that was a bad John. Super bad John. He fried Abraham bad, but Abraham Nova, he got a solid record, bro. He got a solid record. But I think he gonna be. I think he gonna get fried. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Yeah, bro, basically packed the fuck out of Abraham Nova. That's when I was thinking like, yo, ain't nobody in there. I was really thinking like, yo, ain't nobody fucking with Robesi, bro. I was like, bro, that nigga Robesi, he a monster. Like, then this nigga ran into Espinoza. I was like, ah, god damn. Then a bigger monster just came up out of nowhere. Had that nigga saying no moss in the ring. Oh man. When he knocked out Abraham Nova, I said, yo, them niggas at 26 got a problem. And this nigga Raphael came out of nowhere. This motherfucking 6'1", 6'1" Mexican. How many Mexicans you know 6'1"? This motherfucker come out of nowhere with a goddamn 6'2" reach at 126 pounds, just packing niggas. Knockout ratio crazy. Knockout ratio out this motherfucking world. Majority. What he like? Robesi got like no, not Robesi. Raphael got what he like 28-0, 27-0. He got like 22 knockouts. Some crazy shit like that. Let me look. $27-0 with 23 knockouts. God damn. 85% knockout ratio. Like, yeah, he bugging the fuck out. They need to leave him alone. Anonymous for real. Like the way that he built, bro, he probably don't even see. That's the thing. Like people be talking about Sebastian Fundora, a motherfucking weight bully, right? But this nigga Sebastian Fundora said that he walk around 154 pounds. That the highest he'll get is like 158, 157. Like I believe him, because when the fuck, like the type of physique that Sebastian Fundora got, that nigga ain't getting fat nowhere. He looked like the type nigga he just built like that. This is what it is. You know what I mean? He just tall than a motherfucker, but he bony as hell. Raphael probably don't even get that big. He probably don't even blow up that crazy. Maybe he just one of them tall, lanky niggas that don't get fat. No matter how much they eat, they built like that. I just want to know where these tall ass Mexicans coming from. That's all I want to know. Cause I swear to God, I ain't never see a Mexican that was past 5'8". Yeah, he built like Slender Man. Facts. Tripping. I'm trying to figure out where these Mexicans came from. They mix height with weight all the time. That's a fact, Silks. This weight classes, not height classes. People think because you tall, you a weight bully. Nah, that's not always the case. That's not always the case. We got short motherfuckers who put on a shit ton of weight, like Eastside Cruz. You be seeing him? That motherfucker Eastside Cruz, every bit of 5'3", 5'4". Motherfucker don't be in camp, face be swole in a bitch. Look like he be every bit of 150 plus. This nigga Sebastian Fundora like 6'6". Say he walk around at 54. That he probably won't even move up in his career because he make 54 so easy. I believe him. Tank used to blow up too. Yeah, Tank used to get up to like 180. Back when Tank was chilling with Broner and all that shit. when he used to be chilling with Broner and shit, Tank used to walk around with a whole belly. He used to walk around with a whole belly, no neck, big ass belly, face all swole. Yeah. Tank, bro, I think Tank even admitted it, that he had gotten up that high in weight. I forgot what interview that was. But like he was like in the 70s, 80s. I'm telling you. Yeah, Tank was fat as hell talking about, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Yeah. That's exactly what happened. That's why he got booked. His baby mom just went ahead and touched him. He's like, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Just start bugging out on her. Hit her with that shit he hit Leo with. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Start bugging the fuck out. Went ahead and knocked her little young ass out. Allegedly. Yes. Allegedly. That statement I just made was alleged. I don't have any solid evidence that that's what went on. You know what I mean? Don't touch me. I'm like, oh shit, there you go. There he go. Acting a fucking fool. You know what I mean? But I'm going to get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody that came through and show love as always. You know what I mean? We didn't get that many viewers, but it is what it is. That's how YouTube be doing it, niggas, sometimes. You feel what I mean? I'll be back at y'all with another live tomorrow, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, this is Mazuma TV, the home of boxing excellence. I hope y'all have a blessed, beautiful night. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.